Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our session. This opportunity, we will present the result of our research study entitled Developing a Text-Based English Teaching and Learning Model with Principled Eclecticism. This is a longitudinal research study, and what we will report is the result of the first stage of our study. We did our study together involving two universities, Yogyakarta State University and Macquarie University. From Yogyakarta State University, I myself and Anita Triastuti, and from Macquarie University, Phil Chappell. So three of us jointly conducted this research study. This is the background of our research study. The Indonesian EFL curriculum transformation has changed the roles of EFL teachers from curriculum implementers into curriculum developers. And this is a big challenge which need help, and we try to help ease the job of the teachers. The Indonesian EFL curriculum demands that teachers should apply text-based instruction and simultaneously integrate the mandated content categories of character values, high order thinking skills in the 21st century foresees critical thinking, communication, creativity, and collaboration. So the new curriculum has been called the 2013 curriculum. That is what we meant by the new curriculum. Our research study aims at, has two aims, in fact. The first aim is developing a text-based English teaching and learning model informed by principled eclecticism. Then, in fact, this also will be meaningful in Indonesia, and this development is essential to respond to the need for Indonesian EFL teachers to be exposed to a model for teaching and exploring texts while integrating the mandated content categories into the text-based instruction. The content categories I have mentioned before is really a lot to do. We have one research question in the first stage of our study. What is a comprehensive theoretical and conceptual framework to be used as the basis for developing the prototype of a text-based English teaching and learning model informed by the principled eclecticism alike? So after this, we'll present the theoretical framework, and the rest of the presentation will be conducted by Anita. Please, Anita, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ibu Swarsi Madya. Then I would like to continue our presentations. So in this research, we are going to explain the theoretical framework used in our research. So our research was inspired by two models. So the first model is proposed by Delewianka and Jones in 2006. So the teaching and learning cycle, as proposed by Delewianka and Jones, consists of several stages. So the stages are building knowledge of the field, supported reading, modeling or deconstructions, joint constructions, and independent use of the genre. And then the center of the cycle is assessing student progress. So the model proposed by Delewianka and Jones is actually to complete the previous models proposed by other experts in genre-based pedagogy. So in this cycle, Delewianka and Jones came up with one stage, which is called supported reading, which actually aims to provide more opportunities for students to be exposed to more exposures of written text. And then another model we are using in our research is a model proposed by Chappell. So Chappell, in his future publications, is actually proposing another model of the teaching and learning cycle. So his model is actually to complete the previous model proposed by Derevianka and Jones in 2016. So the model consists of building knowledge of the context and field, supported reading, listening, and viewing, modeling and marking critical features of text, joint constructions of text, independent use of text, and dynamic assessment is the center of the cycle. So as we can see from his model, Chappell has added several features of the cycle uh, the in which the features will provide more opportunities for students to better understand and produce their own text. So the first stage is called building knowledge of the context and field. So this stage is the enhancement of the previous stage, which is building knowledge of the field only. So it means that in this stage, Chapel argues that students are not only learning the field of the text, but also start to recognize or sensitize the context of the text. And then the second stage, supported reading, listening, and viewing. So this stage is also to complete the previous model proposed by Derevianka and Jones. So in this stage, students are given more opportunities not only to be exposed to more written text, but also to more spoken text by doing listening and viewing activities. And then the next stage, modeling and marking critical features of text. So in this stage, students and teachers are expected to explore the model text. And then teachers, according to Chapel, are not only to guide students to explore the text, yeah, but teachers are also expected to guide students to critically mark the features of the text. And then joint constructions of text and independent use of text. So these stages are pretty much the same as the previous stages proposed by Delvianka and Jones. And then to complete the assessment developed by previous model, Chapel has proposed a dynamic assessment, which provides more opportunities for students and teachers to engage in a more interactive and dynamic teaching and learning process and progress. And then why principled eclecticism? So in our research, we intended to investigate or to develop the framework for the teaching and learning cycle informed by principled eclecticism, which aims to accommodate the complex demands of our national EFL curriculum. Because why principled eclecticism? Because as we learn from the literature, eclecticism is a pedagogical strategy that moves away from teachers following one specific methodology in order to assimilate different existing methodologies and approaches according to the learner's needs, as stated by Lazarus and Butler, 1993. So it attracts those who want to better serve and help learners who vary in abilities, learning styles, and experiences. As stated by other proponent experts as Melo 2011, Rogers 2001, Larson and Freeman 2000, Brown and Lee 2015, and Lazarus and Butler 1993, Melo 2002, and Brown 2002. So principled eclecticism or discipline eclecticism or informed eclecticism or enlightened eclecticism or informed approach in language teaching refers to the use of various principles and techniques from different approaches and methods to help meet the learner's learning needs. So by adopting this principle of eclecticism, teachers therefore feasibly apply several methods or a set of principled procedure as stated by Richards 2015 to achieve coherent and pluralistic language instructions as stated by Larson Freeman 2000 and Mello 2002 to help learners meet their learning needs. So principle eclecticism therefore fits today's post-method pedagogy era in which no single methodological solution fits diverse contexts. So therefore, teachers need to explore the principles of seemingly varied methods or approaches as argued by Kumara Divalu 2003. Our study adopted design-based research by this Reeves 2006, which involves four sequential steps. The steps are analysis of practical problems, development of solutions based on existing knowledge, evaluations research of the solutions in practice, and reflections on the produced design principles. In our presentations, we are presenting or reporting our first year study, which conducted two sequential steps, which are analysis of practical problems and development of solutions based on existing knowledge. So for the first step of design-based research, which is analysis of practical problems, we conducted two exploratory studies in the forms of textbooks analysis and teachers' lesson plans analysis. The first study aimed at mapping to what extent the English textbooks published by the Indonesian Ministry of National Education and Culture have accommodated the teaching of text and the integrations of the mandated content categories of the 2013 curriculum as the Indonesian EFL curriculum. The data were two English textbooks for grade 7 and 8 of junior high school and two English textbooks for grades 10 and 11 of senior high school. The four English textbooks were assessed by means of an analysis sheet containing particular criteria. The textbooks were downloaded from the books repository of the Ministry of National Education and Culture in the Internet. The four English textbooks were analyzed by means of inferential content analysis. The contents of the textbooks in each unit were assessed to reveal to what extent the textbooks were in line with the text-based teaching methodology and to map the strategies for integrating character values, higher order thinking skills, and the 21st century forces. The second study aimed to assessing to what extent EFL teachers' lesson plans have realized the methodology of text-based teaching and integrated the mandated content categories of the 2013 curriculum into their instructions. So the data were 10 lesson plans developed by 10 teachers, each 5 of which represented senior and junior high school teachers in special territory of Yogyakarta. The 10 lesson plans were examined by using an analysis sheet with several criteria. They were obtained from 10 teachers who were within the networking of I myself and Professor Swasti Madya. The 10 lesson plans were assessed by employing inferential content analysis too. The focuses of the analysis were also the same. The analysis was to measure to what extent the instructional design, as reflected from the 10 lesson plans, complied with the methodology of text-based teaching and realized the representations of character values, higher order thinking skills, and the 21st century forces. In the second step of our design-based research, which is the development of solutions based on the existing knowledge, we finally propose our framework of the teaching and learning cycle to accommodate the Indonesia's EFL curriculum. So as we can see from this model, the cycle consists of the stages of building knowledge of field, supported reading, listening, and viewing, modeling, or the constructions of text, joint constructions of text, and independent use of text. So the stages are enacted with principled eclecticism. It means that principled eclecticism involves the enactment of the teaching and learning activities carried out in each stage of the teaching and learning cycle. And then throughout the stages of the cycle, higher order thinking skills, values, and forces are consistently integrated into the teaching and learning process. So we also adopted dynamic assessment as proposed by Chapel, in which teachers and students experience cognitively and effectively engaging interactive, recursive teaching and learning process. So the dynamic assessment, so we consider that the adoptions of dynamic assessment will enable teachers and students to actively interact in understanding and creating students' own text. So the proposed cycle accommodates three strands of the cycle. So the first strand is the strand of spoken cycle, and then the second one is the strand of written cycle, and the third one is the strand of integrated cycle. So these three strands are proposed to accommodate the challenges of integrating the four language skills in implementing the teaching and learning cycle. So in our research, the first and second strands are proposed for teachers when they want to teach particular spoken or written text by focusing on the explorations of either spoken text along with the development of listening and speaking skills, or written text while developing reading and writing skills throughout the stages of the cycle. Meanwhile, teachers can implement the third strand when they intend to fully follow the methodology of text-based teaching, in which they can incorporate the development of the four English language skills into their teaching of either particular spoken or written text. So in conclusions, our study achieved its aims, which is developing a text-based English and teaching learning model informed by principled eclecticism. So the design-based research study resulted in the conceptualizations of contextualized framework, serving as the methodology of text-based teaching relevant to accommodate the Indonesia's EFL curriculum. This is what we can say in our presentations, and thank you for listening to our presentations.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.